the whole drive for wanting to be a lawyer was to address injustice. So, no, I don't do politics. I'm not interested in politics. Well, you may as well say I'm not interested in life. I'm just amazed at how the university has developed over the years, and now resulting in what? You've just got the prize for the best modern university in the United Kingdom.
We have got some questions. Now these are directly from them, if you're okay for us to go through a few of these. Welcome to the Teesside University Student Union Vodcast. Here we are again, the start of another academic year. The summer goes really fast. It comes round very, very quickly. I'm once again joined by our wonderful presidents. How are you all? You good?
Yeah, I'm good. How about you?
I'm good. I'm good, yeah. I'm good. You know, excited to be back as ever, which is nice. You guys ready to kind of get into the fold and get things moving? Yeah?
Yep.
Yeah? Have you had a good summer?
Yeah, definitely. I had a good summer.
Now, I hope you're going to say you've done lots of work and you're ready to start doing loads of great stuff for the students. That's it? It wasn't just all beaches and holidays, was it?
I would like to say I enjoyed lots in my summer. I went to lots of SUs around the UK. I went to Sunderland SU.
Yeah.
I went to Leeds. I went to Birmingham. And I learned a lot in the different SUs. I was connecting to the different sabbatical officers. I was learning from them. And I expressed my campaigns to them. And they said something, and I was improving my campaigns from their point of views, from their initiatives.
So getting more feedback on what you're doing. So your portfolio is international, isn't it, Ganesh? That's correct, isn't it?
Yeah, that's
We
correct.
didn't do that first, did we? So we should do that. You're Ganesh, and you are an international president. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
So did you get a lot of good feedback and good help from the other SUs?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
And you've had lots of training in terms of how the student union work and things like that.
Firstly, we went to Sunderland SU. We met Steve there. He helped, not only me, as my fellow sabbatical officers too. His guidance definitely helped me, like what I'm doing now and if I went to Board of Governors, like what should I ask there, like what do I need to mention. He helped me a lot. I personally say thanks to this Steve, who is a trainee in Sunderland SU.
Good, but you got a good contact to know for the future. So, you know, not only did you get lots of training, but you got some decent contacts.
Yeah.
That's good. It sounds like you've been very busy.
My name is Sai Dorpalli. I'm the President of Education currently at Teesside. So my summer began with, the holiday spot with India. I'm just vacated last month before I went to the India for 20 days holiday.
20 days?
Yeah, 20
That's
days.
a long holiday.
Yeah. And then come back, I charged my as officer post. Yeah, it's quite 1.5 months. It's already passed. Yeah.
It goes fast, doesn't it?
Yeah,
it goes
days
fast.
are going very fast.
Yeah. It only gets faster as well. Once the students, because obviously we're in summer, and obviously we have had students in, because we're at university, it's open all year round, and obviously we have students that are doing masters, we have nursing students, all these other people, apprenticeships, everything. But obviously we know that the influx happens in September, don't we? Yeah. We know that's when everything kind of steps up a little bit, as we get people from all over the UK and all over the world turning up to study at Teesside, which obviously got voted number 1 by the Daily Mail for University of the Year, which is really, really good. It's a very good, prestigious thing, which must be helpful for you guys when you're talking to either prospective students or fellow students or people that come to see you. It must be handy to know that you've got some plaudits and the university's done some good things, that it's got good recognition. Yes. So do you find that kind of helpful when they do things like that, when it's actually recognised how good the university is?
When we are communicating with the students, they are giving some feedbacks. They are telling some problems what they have. So we are solving their problems, and we happy ourselves, right? First, we are very great to helping someone. We are in one of the prestigious positions. So we need to help always. Yeah, that is a great thing.
Well, that's one of the big things about the SU, isn't it? It's there to help students. Clinton, you're president for Wellbeing, as I've been corrected once. So, obviously you've also gone around with these guys, visited some different SUs. What's your main priorities starting for the September? We've got new students coming in. What kind of campaigns are you looking at? Where do you see yourself going with things, and what are your intentions for the first start of the academic year?
I'll say particularly looking to organizing more sports events. I'm looking into student engagement in sports. And, you know, it has been very trying times for us as well. You know, we step into the SU, and there's been a lot of activities going on. We have students complaining particularly in regards to academic misconduct with AI. So, you know, this school that Teesside University operates the Mbro traffic light system,
it does, yeah.
which the green light stands for you're allowed to use AI in the module, but the red light you're not allowed to use. It's definitely a no. It's a no.
Yes, it's an absolute blanket no, isn't it?
I think students are finding it difficult to understand this system, especially those international students coming in from various parts of the world, you know. So what we're trying to do is we're working with the school itself. We're working with Anne, who is the head of digital and AI innovation. We're having a back and forth email with her to see how we can work around campaigns to create awareness on the proper use of AI, because it's very important for students to use AI, but using it the right way is imperative as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, AI, when we had Professor Simpson on, when we had Mark joining us before, he talked at length about AI and the uses of AI. And, you know, it's a thing that's happening. So it's something that needs to be embraced. But you're right, there is still this confusion. And it's not just at Teesside. I mean, Teesside's got a very robust system now, or it's getting a very robust system, you know, with the traffic lights, whereas some universities they're not that far on yet. They're still struggling with the first part. So the fact that we're now starting to look at problems that have been caused by it and trying to find fixes, I think is really important, because it's here to stay. It's not going anywhere. You know, it's changing people's lives, and people need to learn how to use it to the best ability and to know what they can do with it within the academic regulations. I think is the thing there, isn't it? It's one of the key things, because without that understanding, well, obviously people are going to make mistakes. So it's about educating properly, isn't it, to find out, you know, what do you know, what don't you know, and what can we do to ensure that you understand how it all works together. So that's one of your big areas for the start of the year, is it then?
Yeah, and we also have other campaigns lined up, but they're still underdeveloped, and this is because we're working tirelessly to ensure that we gather enough resources from other sabbatical officers across the UK, and we're also leveraging the expertise from SU staff and Teesside University staff as well. Most importantly, we're trying to gather enough feedbacks from students as well.
It sounds like you've had a lot going on, you know.
It does
sound very busy. With all your travelling and the things that you're working on, it sounds like you guys have been very, very busy, which, you know, I think is really great, because obviously you're networking, you're connecting, you're out there and you're doing the things, and the students want to know. I mean, you guys were voted in, and students want to know that the people that are voted in are doing the things that they need them to do. So the fact that you are being that busy is really, really good. But it does bring us, like I said, I keep mentioning this, the students are all going to come back. Freshers is always a good time. You guys have all been here at Freshers before, because you're obviously students before you're sabbatical officers. Are you looking forward to seeing all the fresh faces and everybody turning up with that kind of... There is a buzz in the air whenever Freshers comes round, you know, there's always a little bit of electricity and excitement.
We're excited to see the Freshers.
With new ideas, you know.
It's good, isn't it? You know, obviously, some of us have been here a while, you know, we don't say how long because it shows our age, but some of us have been around a little bit. And even now, I still get excited by the prospect of, but there's new ideas, there's new people, there's new thinking, innovation, and there's just so much... It's just a very positive energy, you know. I think at the very start of the year, there's so much positive energy floating around from people just wide-eyed and trying to embrace it all. And there's a lot to learn, you know. If you've just come into university, there's a lot to learn, and it can create problems. You know, we've had it before. People can get homesick, people can find themselves a little bit isolated, and we have a lot of stuff going on at Freshers, but one thing that we do as well is that throughout the entire major weeks that we're there, we will always have people on hand to do advice and guidance and you know, that kind of stuff, so that if people are struggling a little bit, they can come and speak to somebody in the SU who at least can point them in the right direction of where they need to go, and I think that's a key thing. You guys, I assume, are going to be out and about at Freshers, is that right? You're going to be doing some bits and pieces?
Yeah, we're going to be outside. Like I said, we're going to be gathering feedback from students. I'm going to be listening to the freshers as well, you know, the new students coming in, because we know they are coming in with new ideas, which could be really very helpful to us in developing our campaigns as well.
It's key, isn't it? Yeah. You know, you've got to listen to the new students to find out, because each year it can change slightly, you know, what the students need, what legislation has changes, what university regulations have changes, and all these things happen. So, you know, the demographic of students can change significantly over time, and it can change year to year depending on what's happened or what courses are running. You know, there's always different things. So, yeah, I think to get the voice of the students you know, when they're first coming in, I think it's a really good idea, because then at least you can get that straight away, can't you? And you know what you're working with for the year. But Freshers isn't just about supporting students. Well, it is about supporting students, but come on, everybody knows what else Freshers is about. There's a few things going on at the SU. Obviously, on the 14th of September, there's the moving in party. Are you guys around for that? Because that's when... Look at that. That's what I was talking about.
Excitement, really.
It's always, like I said, there's always things that are going on. The Monday on Freshers, it's like I said, we've got the advice, but that's, a lot of people come for like the discounts and the activities and stuff, don't they?
Yeah.
If you guys remember when you first turned up, there was that first day where you kind of go around and there's all the Freshers stalls and there's all the stuff going on campus, and it always just feels very, very alive. So that's on the 15th, which is the Monday. Societies on the 16th. Are you guys around for that?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, we're definitely going to be there.
Yeah? Are you going to be doing stuff with societies this year, as well as, you know, working, obviously?
Yeah, we are working with societies, with clubs.
Yeah, you're going to keep yourself very busy with societies. I bet you will be.
Yeah.
We've got the mega quiz on the 17th. Now, it's mega because it's massive. £100 grand prize.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's not to be sniffed at, that, is it? That's good. We like that. And then what a beautiful way to start your academic career, by winning a quiz and winning £100. I think that's a really good shout. So it's something that, you know, everybody can get down for that and enjoy it. We've got loads of stuff going on, though. There's bongos, bingos, which has got the student special. There's karaoke. I'm going to tell you my particular one that I always look forward to in Freshers, which is the house plant sale. And I know it's not quite as exciting as, say, the moving in party, but I think get yourself a couple of house plants, brighten up the office, brighten up your home, brighten up where you live in, all that kind of stuff. I just think for me it's really nice. They don't always live as long as I'd like them to in my office, but you know, I do try to make them work. But you guys are going to be busy that week. You're going to be out,
Definitely,
you're going to be doing stalls as well as talking to students. Is that what's going to be happening?
Yeah, we're planning, like, you know, Freshers are coming in the next week, right? So we are available on the SU. So we meet the students and we communicate with the students, and they don't know the red light system, right? You know, how is it going on, right? Assessment, like thing. We need to aware of students. We're going to start our campaign on that day. Day one.
They're on day one.
Yeah,
So
on
you're
day
going
one,
to start straight away. As soon as you've got people in, you're going to be starting it. No, that sounds really, really good. But like I said, it's a very exciting time. I think
it's a good time to catch them young, you know,
yes,
and introduce them to other societies and what the school has to offer.
Yeah, it's a good opportunity, isn't it? You can actually talk to them when they not that when they want to take it in, but you know, like we keep saying, when you first arrive, you're very much wanting to do everything, aren't you? I think if you can give you guys some feedback straight away, that's brilliant.
We have to groom them initially, so they can...
Yeah. And once they start doing it, you're right, you know, once they get in the habit of like giving you guys feedback, it makes it a bit easier. Oh, well, that happened in Freshers, similar kind of thing again. You can use that as well, can't you?
Yeah.
Sounds like you're going to have a busy year, or at least a busy first start. Lots to do, which is always exciting, lots to learn, I guess. Do you find that you've had quite a big learning curve? Is there lots of things that you either didn't know or that you thought you knew which have changed? How does that work? You know, or are you just doing exactly what you thought you would be doing as officers?
Say for me, starting as a sabbatical officer at the SU, I thought to just be meeting with students and the SU staff, but it's more than just the SU. We get to represent students in the Board of Academics and the Board of Governors meeting as well, you know. So, but luckily for us, unfortunately for us, we have amazing SU staff members who are always there to put us in the right track when we're going astray.
That's really good, yeah. So there's quite a lot to learn, but you're still enjoying the learning process and doing the whole thing. Same with you guys, yeah?
Yeah, for me, like initially I came as a normal student, then I became a sabbatical officer.
Yeah.
That's really boost for me.
Yeah.
Then later I got to know that I was also part of Board of Governors. That's a big cap for me. Yeah. Then later, before getting a graduate degree, I attended for a graduation ceremony. That's really, I never expected that, and I will never ever forget that moment. I'm really grateful for Teesside University.
Yeah, that was quite helpful. You know, the graduation ceremony, it was like a wonderful opportunity for us to get to meet. It was not just, especially the graduation dinner, it was not just about eating, you know. It was a time for us to also dialogue and meet with the school authorities one-to-one, have that non-formal discussion.
Yes, yeah. So that kind of more relaxed.
Yeah, more relaxed.
And in celebration, it's very different in graduation, isn't it? Because everybody's celebrating the hard work that the students have done. So you guys actually got to experience that from a slightly different angle, didn't you?
Different angle, different perspective. That's really great.
Yeah, another good experience.
Yeah, that's really good.
Absolutely, that's brilliant.
When we are walking into the stage, a little bit nervous.
A little bit nervous.
Yeah, a little bit nervous. Then after a few seconds, a few minutes, okay, relax.
Yeah.
Then we enjoy.
Calm down.
Calm down, and we enjoy ourselves to watch them. A lot of students, they work hard, and they get their result as a passed out as a graduate, successfully. So it's a great opportunity to see very closely.
It is, it's part and parcel. For a lot of students, they're just starting on that journey in September. You guys have already seen them at the other end of it, and you get to take this next academic year with the ones that you're going to see this year. So that's quite good. You tend to have like your cohorts and your years. So yeah, I'm sure you guys are going to be amazing. It's going to be lovely having you around. I'm going to see you about. I know loads of students are going to see you around. And obviously they can always find you in the SU and they can get in touch. If people do need information on Freshers at all, we've got the Freshers mini site. If you go through the SU website, you'll be able to click on it and that'll give you all the information about Freshers, what's going on, how to contact us, everything that's happening, everything will be on there. We have got Andy Mcdonald MP coming up, which I'm pretty excited about, a little bit nervous. I hope you guys have been obviously doing a little bit of research and checking up on. Have you? So we are now joined by Andy Mcdonald, MP4. Would you like to correct me? Middlesbrough.
Middlesbrough and Thornaby East.
Well, welcome to the TUSU Vodcast.
Oh, many thanks. It's a joy. Yeah, thank you. Well, we'll soon find out.
Yeah, apparently we'll go easy. We have got some questions from some students. I've had a read through them. Some of them are interesting. I hope you brought your different hats on that you're going to wear.
Good questions. Yeah.
So we'll start off nice and easy. Do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself, Andy? Because obviously I've talked about which your constituency is. Obviously you are the MP for those. Do you want to give me a little bit of history for our students about you?
Yeah. Well, not only is Middlesbrough my constituency, it's my home.
Right.
And this is where I was born. So it is an absolute joy to be the Member of Parliament for your hometown. And now Thornaby East as well, which is I've got long associations with Thornaby, so that's a joy. Before I became a Member of Parliament, I was a lawyer, and I eventually ended up working for a trade union firm. So it was a bit of a natural fit. The whole drive for wanting to be a lawyer was to address injustice and speak up for the voiceless and those people who couldn't advocate for themselves and needed to recourse to law. And I've always found the legal world fascinating because you can get redress against the mighty and the powerful in the right circumstances. So that was a joy, and I ended up specialising by accident, really, looking after members of the armed forces. Which was one particular specialism, and then people who'd sustained brain injuries in a whole variety of circumstances, and spinal cord injuries, which is interesting because I'm now the chair of the all-party parliamentary group on spinal injuries.
Right.
And in Middlesbrough, we have one of the 8 national centres at our fantastic James Cook University Hospital. So it all fits in together quite nicely.
Worked out well for you.
Yeah, I think, well, having done that in that career, to be able to come back and start to make the case, because when I was in Parliament originally, I served on the Justice Select Committee. We have a system of select committees, and that was one I was particularly interested in. And I was dealing with the vexed issue of people who were locked up in our jails. There's such a significant proportion of the male population in jails suffer from brain injuries, but they're never picked up, or they weren't back in the day. I'd like to think because of the interventions that we made, that might be improved. So, yeah, a whole host of things. But I think the motivation for coming into this life, parliamentary representative life, was a long and complex one, because I was a councillor here in Middlesbrough,
right.
95 to 99, and and I was really drawn into the labour movement.
So did you find that, was it quite a shift then? Because obviously you mentioned being in trade union, and the shift into politics, was that a harder step? Was it just something that, because
it seemed to
not everybody
flow.
makes that jump, do they?
No, they don't, but I've got to say that I was only interested in being the Member of Parliament for this place.
Yeah.
I wasn't interested in being an MP per se. I felt as if I wanted to champion my home.
Yes.
And I knew the challenges, I knew our wonderful successes, and all the things that we have done over the 2 centuries of the town in being. But I also knew that there was a great deal of inequality that needed to be addressed, and that was like a burr under my saddle. So going into the legal profession, being part of a trade union firm, being a trade unionist, it was a bit of a natural progression. When the vacancy arose and my predecessor passed away, there was a by-election, and I put myself forward and got the job. So, and then, of course, a whole new adventure starts, one that I couldn't possibly have anticipated.
Yes.
Yeah.
So how long have you been the MP for now? What's your time frame?
Just about 13 years.
That's a significant period, isn't it?
Yeah. So I've had, I think it's 5 elections, and my predecessor over 27 years, or 29 years, whatever it was, had 7.
Wow.
So we had 2012 for the by-election, 15 general election, 17, 19, 2024. So we never seem to be doing anything other than campaigning to win elections, but doing other things in the meantime. Yeah.
Well, it's quite just interesting that you've been in that length of time, because you'll have seen changes that you'll have helped make towards Middlesbrough, or at least tried to help achieve things over that time. It gives you a view, doesn't it? If you're in something for a period of time, because sometimes you hear about certain MPs or elected officials that are only in for a short period of time, and then you often get that, well, it was my predecessor who did that thing, which is their fault, so I can't repair it. Whereas if you've been in a position for a significant period of time, you not only do you have that accountability for it, but you can see the changes that are happening.
Yeah, you can, and a lot of it, I regret to say, you stand by helpless because you're in opposition for 12 of those 13 years.
Yeah.
And I could make my case to government, advocate for my constituents on key principal issues, but seeing very little progress and getting little or no response, and in fact the opposite is true. But it's a completely different ball game to be a Member of Parliament of a governing party and seeing some of the things that you've held dear come to fruition. I mean, again, a lot of politics happens by accident, but I won't give you the long-winded story, but I ended up as Shadow Transport Secretary for 4 years and ended up writing Great British Rail, GB Rail, the re-nationalisation of our railway industry. And I'm no longer in that position, but my successors in government are now taking that forward. And then when Keir asked me to be the Shadow Employment Rights and Protections Minister, or the Secretary of State, Shadow Secretary of State, he asked me to look at the world of work and see what changes needed to take place. Things like the gig economy, bogus self-employment, these sorts of things, greater access to trade union rights and the rest. We came up with what's called a green paper, because you have green paper, white paper, and then legislation, and it came up with a new deal for working people. And now that is now implemented in the Employment Rights Bill. So I think as and when I look back on my career, I look at those two initiatives as thinking, well, that's made a huge difference.
Obviously, politics has had a major impact on you. You are where you are. You've talked about the changes that you've made. Some of our students may not, see the vested interest they should have in politics. What would you say to somebody about why they should be interested in politics?
We often get the challenge on the doorstep. If we're talking around, knocking on doors, trying to talk to people about politics, they say, oh no, I don't do politics. I'm not interested in politics. Well, you may as well say, I'm not interested in life, because politics is life. Yeah. It is about education, about health, about our economy, our transport system. It is everything that all the facets of life are embodied within politics and political choices. So I'm saying to people, this is your life we're talking about here. Please take an interest, because through the democratic process, you have got the opportunity to shape things. As we see at general election time, you can vote in a party of a particular persuasion or another one, and it makes a difference. And there are, some of the questions that we're going on to, I'm sure, will actually delve into some of those in a major way. And I think, and of course, if you have that relationship where you have elected your councillor or your MP, there's a relationship of accountability there as well. And you can quite rightly say, when you wanted my vote, you said this, this and this. My experience is now wholly different. What is going on? And by the way, you're not really enthusing me or giving me any confidence to vote for you again. So I think we've got to cherish that democratic power there is in the vote. And we often, when you come to Parliament, we have that, we give people a tour, and we dwell a lot upon the suffragette movement and how those women fought for the right to vote. And so when people say to me, I don't vote, breaks my heart.
But so much has been done to try and get people to...
It is, but even at the last general election, the turnout was woeful.
Why do you think that was? Do you think that was from political burnout from people, or do you think the fact that there was that much going on? Or
I think people were disillusioned and disconnected in that way. They didn't really feel as if their lives had got better, and so why should they? And I would, and of course the Labour Party pushed that word change. So let's change it. But you've got to accept that it was we should get better turnouts at elections, because we've ended up with a situation where we have a very, very healthy majority, but it doesn't command the buy-in of a proportionate element of the electorate that it really ought, in my view. But so there's much work to be done. Yeah.
Well, there's always going to be that. I think that's part and parcel, isn't it? There's always going to be work to be done on it. Yeah. Some students have mentioned, you've talked about politics, you've talked about people getting involved in it. If somebody said they were thinking about a career working in politics, you've mentioned that you didn't strike out to be a career politician. You've just kind of found that as your area.
Yeah.
What would you say to people that were considering, if they wanted to do more, they already vote, they're already engaging, if they wanted to do more as individuals? Well,
I am indeed the accidental politician, but I think you can come at this from various routes, and I respect both pathways. You can go and do something else for a living for a good period, and in the modern world people do lots of different jobs anyway, but I think there's a certain healthiness in having an experience of something else, but other people come to it professionally right from the start because they know that's where they want to be, and that's perfectly. I'm not really too decrying of the career politician, because if somebody says no, this is something I think I can do, and I want to find a route into it to make those changes, because these things are hugely important for our country and for the wider world, that's legitimate and honourable too. But I would. It's not. Get the tiny violin out for me, because it can be. It's not always comfortable. Put it that way. But there's an awful lot of people doing a lot more difficult jobs, and you need to have something of a thick skin, because I've got to confess to you, not everybody likes me. But anyway, so you got to take that on the chin.
You've mentioned that you're from Middlesbrough, born and bred.
Yep.
Obviously, you've seen the university shift and change.
Wow, yeah.
As it was obviously it was a polytechnic at once upon a time, and then obviously it's been through so many changes, and now it's a big part of Middlesbrough. What's your thoughts on the impact and the importance of the relationship and the students and the university with the town itself? Because that's quite a thing that people talk about a lot.
Oh, it's hugely important. I mean, the university is an integral part of the town and of the wider Tees Valley, of course, because we've got presence elsewhere. But I'm just amazed at how the university has developed over the years, and now resulting in what? You've just got the prize for the best modern university in the United Kingdom. Wow, that is just phenomenal, and regularly receive those accolades for the best student experience and so on. So the fact that the students who come here can have a good experience and know that they're going to be looked after and welcomed is hugely important. But to the economy of the town and the relationship of the development of all these new industries that are occurring is absolutely critical. So it's a critical stakeholder in the wider economy of our entire area. And I'm just delighted by some of those initiatives, the Net Zero Centre down at the Advanced Manufacturing Park near Newport Bridge, and all those other collaborations that are ongoing. I mean, this university has spawned so many businesses over the years, being the incubator of especially digital and technology businesses.
Absolutely.
So it's woven into the fabric of the area and vice versa. So we're sort of wedded at the hip, and at the shoulder and the knee and the elbow, I think. So it's great for both parties, and I'm always trying to pursue that collaboration and collective working. And I think we've certainly got a council that's got a very healthy relationship with the university and with others. So I can't overstate the importance of this place and this university, and to see this campus develop in the way it has. I mean, I'm really jealous of the investment, but I'm not jealous of the investment. I'm in awe of it, because it has transformed the landscape literally, and all for the good.
It has such a large footprint, doesn't it now?
Yes.
In every way, not just on the physical footprint. I mean, more than that.
What I specifically enjoy about the university is some of the medical schools. The fact that I think something like 75% of the students are drawn from this particular area, and it's now a significant proportion of the totality of the university population. And I know there are ambitions to do even more, and I am doing my best to help fulfill those ambitions.
Excellent, that's really good. It's really positive that you can see so many benefits to the relationship and how and that having the students here. I think it's always amazing the melting pot of cultures that we've got now, the changes that a lot of students bring to the SU. I've seen it change demographic multiple times over the years that I've been here, and it continues to do so. We were just talking earlier about how Freshers is just around the corner, and then that's a very exciting time for those of us that work within the SU because of the change of feeling, the new ideas, the new innovation that new students bring in, and that happens every year, and I think it's a phenomenal thing, and long may it continue.
Absolutely, wholeheartedly agree.
Speaking of the students, we have got some questions. Now, these are directly from them. If you're okay for us to go through a few of these, is that all right?
Yeah, fire away.
Okay, so this is from Adamola, and they say, there has been change to regulations concerning new rules about immigration and about immigrants. Now they specifically say, would you be willing to vote against it when it goes to the Houses of Parliament meeting in September?
Yeah, well, come on to the voting, because there's certain elements that are votable, like changes to the nationality rules and other such things. There are certain other things on visas and thresholds and things like that I won't get a say in, because that will just go through ministerially. So I think that's critically important. I think we just got to bring some calm to bear on the discussion around immigration, because it's becoming febrile, and there's a confusion between immigration and people seeking asylum. It's two different things altogether, and yet the two things are melded together at the moment, and it's all over the world that we're just whipping this conversation up. And I was a member of the Business and Trade Select Committee, so I went to other nation states, went to Japan and to South Korea. Well, particularly in Japan, they've had a policy for long standing that, you know, we don't rely upon people coming into our country. We're self-contained. Well, as a net result, their demographic, they're falling from what 135 million or thereabouts within decades.
They're in a population decline, aren't they? Yeah.
They're in, and it's, you know, really in a bad state. Similarly for South Korea.
Yeah.
So those are major economies. So we've got to have the good sense to have an immigration policy that fits our needs and our demands in terms of our economy and our society. And if you do that, you'll get it right. But if you just listen to the noises off around just things are bad, just think what immigration has done for this town. It is born of immigration. You know, there was nobody here 200 years ago. Well, there's 25 people here, one farmhouse, four houses. That was it. And then with the advent of coal from the Durham coal fields being transported to Middlesbrough for onward shipment to power London, the town began to grow through coal. Then iron ore found in the Cleveland Hills, just miles behind us. The opportunity to create iron and steel. And this town grew. It was one of the fastest growing towns in European history. It's an incredible story, but all brought together by people from all over the world. I mean, my own, you know, I'm an immigrant, you know, my folks are predominantly Irish, and a lot of Irish people came across from here. People came from different parts of England, different parts of... So I say about Middlesbrough, the beautiful thing about this place is we all came from somewhere else. That's our story, and over successive generations, that's been repeated. People have come from different places, but it's the same story of, and that's our health, that's our strength. We evolve, we change. I know some people don't want to have any change. They want things sealed in aspect because there was a certain day, what was it? I don't know, the 7th of September in 1965, when things were perfect. I wanted to stand still there. Well, that's not life, is it? Things move on, and we live in a vibrant place. So, it is a challenge, but we've got to have a system that receives people. And I think I've got my reservations about some of the changes that have been made or being made in terms of the uplift in the thresholds for visas for people earning, the curtailment of the qualifying jobs for people to come into visas, and then the students themselves. You know, you could have a graduate having the ability to remain and build a career here, you know, for 2 years without any question. Now that's been being reduced to 18 months. 18 months, yeah. So there's sort of, I think, retrograde steps in my view. And I think we've got to be a wee bit careful of. And the English language qualification, that's being upped. I understand that. It's good that people will learn English, but you've also got to marry that up with investment in ESOL, the resources to provide the teaching for language as well. But so there's an awful lot of debate. But I say at the moment it's febrile, the discussion, and then we move. And as I said, people merge the issues of an immigration policy. Of course, you've got to have borders. I get that. You know, you've got to have control of that. But a system that works for you. And then they see pictures of people who are displaced, who are fleeing all manner of deprivations, of torture, war, famine, and wanting what we all want, which is just a decent chance in life. And yet we don't treat them, or some people don't want them to be treated as if they're human beings. They would rather treat them in another way. And that is sad, but it's toxic, but it's everywhere. And we've got to understand why people are on the move. You know, why are they? Nobody wants to just stop. I'm not really bothered. Just as long as it stops. I think we've got to understand and
got to ask more questions and
about the criminality that sits behind a great deal of it. But then, what are the other causes that are behind it? And if we don't support other nation states to be not only self-sufficient but healthy democracies as well, then these things are just going to perpetually arriving as an issue for the world to deal with. And I don't think we've got our head around that at the moment. We're in a very reactive phase. I'm hoping that it won't last.
Do you think that that'll change through education, or just a time frame, or people becoming more accustomed to new ways of thinking?
It's probably been with us from time immemorial and will be.
Yeah.
What we've got to do is get as many wins as we can. And I think it starts at home with understanding who we all are, what our own history is. I think if you don't understand your own history, how are you going to understand somebody else's? So I think having that wider perception is going to be helpful. But being very, very clear about how you will not tolerate racism in any shape, way or form. And you have a strong legal system that makes it absolutely clear that that is not an acceptable way of behaving. But it takes an awful lot to challenge.
Yeah.
But we see it in the sporting arena with show racism, the red card, and other movements kicking out, and others who are making it very clear that that has no part in our thinking when it comes to sensibly arranging an immigration policy.
So yeah, on that kind of thing, we did get another question in which particularly looks at what we've just been talking about. This was from Ellie, and she states, while our community at the university is rich and diverse, many students still seem to be experiencing some sort of racism from within the wider Middlesbrough community. What kind of actions do you think should be taken both locally by the university, or what can other people do to kind of stop that? And guys, obviously, I don't know if you've experienced anything or you've had information from students which would...
Well, I would say me personally, I've experienced racism. During my first months in the UK, I think I was coming back from Tesco with 2 bags, and I was literally spat at by 4 lads on the bike. And I'm wondering, in a situation like that, what can an international student, or what can an immigrant do? Yeah.
Well, first of all, it's a reportable crime. Spitting on somebody is not only despicable, it's an offence, it's an assault. But you know, that is. First of all, I'm really sorry that happened. That is, I have had that happen to other people, and not seemingly motivated by well, it may well have been somebody's strange interpretation. But I'm really sorry that's happened to you. It is a crime, but you know, the fact that you're telling me that it's young lads who've done that to you, you know. How has it got to a situation where they would even contemplate that? So we've got an awful lot of work to do in our schools. But I've got to stand up for our schools as well, because in our primary schools, you go in, sometimes in our central Middlesbrough schools, they'll be speaking 38, 42, 45 languages, you know, for people from all over the world. So they're beautiful places, but those prejudices and misconceptions and fears do seem to develop as those in later years for some. So we've got to do something about the education, but it is a crime and it should be reported. And I've got an app I can share with you. Okay. You can pop that in directly to Cleveland Police, because it shouldn't ever be tolerated or accepted. Yeah. Anybody else?
Yeah, from my side, when I elected as a sabbatical officer for my initial days, a student came to me, like when he went to his workplace, a guy slapped on his face, and he said later like, you can't do anything here. If you go to authorities or if you go to the university, even they can't do anything, me or my shop. And he mentioned shop name, and the shop name even I know, but it's egg shop. And he came to me. I took the person personally to the well-being team. They offered the support, but he can't go to the authorities, and he's scared to go authorities. If he go to the authorities, they might like he's scared.
Might target him further.
Yeah, that's a real anxiety, and of course, and if you have evidence, and it was that you fear that might rebound on you. Yeah, it's a really difficult one. but I do think it comes back to principally to better education, but to give that outward demonstration that actually not all of us think like that, and you get nothing more, no greater manifestation of that if you've got in the Mela that we just had, the 35th Mela that we had in Albert Park just a few weeks ago. The longest running Mela in the entire country. And I've seen it in my time change and move. You know, it's because of changing demographics, and it's a celebration of diversity, and because of the problems we had last year, it was a joy to see all that people just getting on with each other, getting on with the things that you want to do. You know, have a nice mocktail or some nice food, enjoy the music, enjoy the stalls and all the rest of it. It was just all Middlesbrough coming together. So we've got to ensure that we don't give in, and we have those outward demonstrations of the fact that no, we're actually cool with being a multicultural society, and hopefully people will benefit from that. But we do have to work hard at social cohesion issues, and I know as a result of the tragedy of 2024 on August the 4th, that there's been an awful lot of work done on that, and it won't happen by itself. We've got to apply ourselves to it. It's not just going to magically solve itself, and it's a battle that's never won, quite frankly. You've just got to keep going at it. Have you had any?
Yeah, I have any. You know, very initial stage, like I came to the UK. I'm walking on there's a park here, Middlesbrough, near the Parkeja. So one guy that came to me and tried to fight with me.
Tries to have a fight
with me. I don't know why. I'm just walking, and he says something using the bad words and like, you know, using. But I'm not doing anything. Like, you know, I'm just walking. I'm towards the university, but he's always triggering me. At the time, how can we react with that?
So sorry, that's heartbreaking.
Yeah, at the time, you know, we can't fight with that guy because we are migrants from other country. Like, so at the time, how can manage that situation?
Well, there might be a policing or a supervision issue in those sorts of public places to think about, and but I'll take those. I meet not that regularly, but I've got a meeting with the Chief Constable, the new Chief Constable coming up, and she's appraised of these issues. But it's good to know these experiences so that, you know, the relevant authorities can respond. But it's in the hearts and the minds of the people who do that sort of thing that we've got to try to work on. But I have no simple answer, because it's not a simple problem. It's a lot of it's deep seated. All I'll say to you is that there's a quiet and very sizable majority who do not think like that at all, and who welcome people and are delighted at the way our town is, and will change again and change again and change again, because that's the nature of it. Yeah.
It is difficult. You've had such experiences.
We need to complain to the police, and it's
yes, absolutely.
They're going to help us.
Well, let's hope. I mean, since Labour came into power, we have put an awful lot of emphasis around neighbourhood policing, so that there's the same officers going to be in the same place all the time, so there's not a different response, and things can be a little more coordinated, and they can know their patch even more and more. That can be very, very helpful. And we're also trying to reverse, because what happened when the previous government reduced the number of police officers in the country by 20,000, and we lost all of that knowledge and information, but we lost that presence as well. And there's been years of now, we're not back up to full complement. We're still officers short in Cleveland, but it is getting better. I think we'll be back there soonest. But it's having different strategies that address the complaints that all three of you have outlined today. We need to be much more alive to that, and I'm delighted of the changes that have made. My colleague Matt Story is the Police and Crime Commissioner, and he's very alive to these issues. So I hope we'll see a reduction in that sort of terrible behaviours, but I'm sorry you've experienced it.
So we'll touch a little bit about jobs now, if that's okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Obviously, some people are asking questions about whether there would be opportunities in the town for jobs while they were working, you know, as international students. And the second one that I'm coupling this with is, what are your thoughts on the availability of graduate jobs in the area and the intention of keeping people here?
Well, yeah, there's a lot in that. I mean, the opportunities for working alongside study, I mean, that's often the hospitality sector has been a go-to sort of sector of the economy. I think there are opportunities there. We do have to grow the economy to make sure that those opportunities arise. But how many times do you go to any sort of establishment and see vacancies? You know, people apply within. So there is a workforce needed. I can speak from personal experience that some students are engaged in the care sector too.
Yeah.
So there are those opportunities, but I think it's also important that we complete the work we're doing on changing the nature of Job Centre Plus, because it has changed its nature over the decades, and we want to get it back to a more Germanic model of being an employment agency, finding appropriate work for people. There isn't that facility at the moment, and that applies right across the board, not just to students.
Yeah.
But I think in terms of, I think what is very, very important is to stress the incredible opportunities that are now emerging, because of our industrial past and our history, there's an eye on the jobs of the future. And I believe that Teesside is incredibly well placed. We've not just got carbon capture utilisation and storage and all the roles and jobs that come from that. We've got allied industries as well, around hydrogen, around digital. There's, you know, it's no great secret that there's going to be a major AI investment in not too distant future. The spin-offs from that are enormous. So I see technology and the green industrial revolution as providing immense opportunities, and I think our best days are ahead of us. I think there's some really incredible opportunities, but it's important to get those pathways for graduates into these potential opportunities, whatever the sector may well be, and we've got to get that right. So those internships and all those other opportunities that might assist in the process are there. But I think it's a very rich seam of employment, and I think this place has got way above the national average in terms of employability post graduation. So I think it's some stat like 57% within 6 months or something. Yeah. So which is quite remarkable that people are into those good jobs. So that's available, but also we've got the trick of the wider society is to make sure that the whole package is there, not just that the employment opportunity is there, but the housing, the arts and culture offer, and the reasons for being in any place are attractive to people. So I do think that the future is bright. I think we had a period when we were really in the doldrums for a bit. We were bobbing at the bottom, but I do sense that we are emerging from that, and with these incredible technologies that are on our doorstep, I'm really optimistic.
Coupling on to that, Jake emailed in, he stated that he touched on the history of Teesside. Obviously, we know, I'll say what he said. So obviously we have got a very rich history, particularly around iron and steel, like you mentioned earlier, petrochemicals, heavy engineering. But he said that these industries were always fossil fuel dependent. Should we be proud of the industrial past? I have my own thoughts on this, but I'll let you speak first. Should we be proud of our industrial past? And do you think Middlesbrough and Teesside has a moral obligation to be at the forefront of a greener industrial revolution?
Well, we've all got a moral obligation to be part of a greener future. But, oh my goodness, I couldn't be more proud of our industrial past. I think the Middlesbrough story is one of the most incredible stories. I mean, you go to York, and it's got the Jorvik Centre. It tells you all about the history of York. and other towns have got their own stories. I think the Middlesbrough story is just incredible. Yeah, I get it. It was indeed based on fossil fuels, but that was, we're not going to be saddled with the negativity or the guilt of that. What we should be focusing on, how we are now in the prime position to be right at the forefront of reversing that and embracing those different industries that are going to transform the whole issue of climate change and create those good opportunities for people. So it's an incredible past, and one that I think we need to shout about more than we do, because we celebrate regularly the fact that some of the major structures in the world were built here. Sydney Harbour Bridge being one such. If you ever go to Sydney, I've never been, but I'm told if you climb to the top of the bridge, it says Dolman Long, made in Middlesbrough. I know that there are others. We tried it out in Newcastle. We gave them a little toy bridge called the Tyne Bridge. That was just a practice run.
They like that.
No, it's yeah. Well, it was. They're repairing it now. There's nothing wrong with it when it left Middlesbrough. It was fine. Yeah.
I have got some more questions coming in, if that's all right.
Sure.
One is around the Child Safety Act. Obviously, this was put in by predecessors, I believe, was it?
Yeah, the Online Safety Act.
Yeah, but they're saying it's detrimental in terms of how it's interacting. It's often being used more in a dystopian, totalitarian, watchful Big Brother scenario where more adults are being monitored than what it was originally intended. Sean asks, should that have been left in the hands of parents, or should the government be looking at changing to appeal that and alter it?
I don't think any government would have any other choice than to intervene. The internet, people having access to these things is a wonderful, wonderful tool. It's transformed lives. But there's a darker side to it. And some of the outcomes, with children accessing things that they should never see. And we're not just talking about pornography, we're talking about other things as well that have really degraded mental health, and you've had children taking their own lives. Some of the influences being exercised upon them are just utterly appalling, and I think it's any government's duty to try to regulate that space. Now, I get it that people will say, but that is a fetter on freedom of expression and it's too much. Well, that's how society works. We nurture and treasure our freedoms, but there are certain areas that we agree to compromise on in pursuit of the greater good. And if it's about the safety of children and indeed adults, and to avoid the exploitation of people, then I think that's a good thing. It is a work in progress. I don't think that the Act has corrected everything. Obviously, there's now an issue around people age verification, qualifications, and the rest of it, and people circumventing that with their own virtual private networks. There's also things about these things that appear and disappear, so there's no trace of them. I think they call them the ephemeral world, where it's just in and out without any reference back. But yes, we've also always got to be cautious about agreeing to an inhibition on our personal freedoms. But surely, to goodness, the safety, especially the safety of children, has got to be paramount in our thinking. Because we know that through mobile phones in an unregulated space, children can have access to all manner of things that they're simply not going to be ready to even compute in their heads. That's not where they are in their own personal development. So I think but I'm not saying it's perfect, and I think this will be constantly under review. The regulator is working to see what it means. But it does mean it puts that onus on those platforms to monitor what's going there and then to remove certain harmful content, and there's a list of the things that they've got to be mindful of, or they will face financial penalties. And I think that's absolutely the right path to go down. So I hear, you know, Andrew Tate and these sorts of people coming out with these, well, I don't want to live, the dystopian world for me is Andrew Tate. That's where dystopia sits. I think we need safer spaces for us all. So, but it's not easy, that's for sure.
No, it's difficult, isn't it?
Yeah, it is difficult.
It's always going to be difficult whenever you're impinging on anybody's freedoms, or perceived changes to their freedoms, because that's what I think it is, isn't it? It's perceived rather than anything else. I've only just got a couple more questions from our students, if that's all right. Talking about legislation, obviously there's been change regarding legislation regarding transgender students, and obviously birth sex versus the certificates. How will Middlesbrough Council continue to support those kind of students in light of the recent changes to the legislation? I think the change in legislation was April, I think it was, something like that.
Well, the judgment, the Supreme Court judgment was, and just to wind back on that, because it basically came from an ambition of the Scottish Government to see that public sector boards had parity of male and female, and that opened up this issue. And so when the gender recognition certificates came into being, and the question was, well, how does that fit with the Equality Act? And if you actually, it's one of these things where if you actually read the judgment, it's a little bit more nuanced than would be first perceived, because my understanding, and I don't pretend to be an expert in the field, it was basically saying that under the Equality Act, people of protected characteristics, including their sex, had to be recognised, so male and female, but also transgender people as well. And well, as far as Middlesbrough Council is concerned, I think they take the same attitude as I would. When somebody comes to see me in my advice surgeries and they're wanting help and they're transgender, it can often be, for example, it could be about accessing medical facilities, medical services. You just treat them decently with some compassion and say, oh, how can I assist you to do this? And it's one of this modern issue that has become so vexed and so febrile. And as a result of this Supreme Court judgment, we've had people come to us who, you know, they were born as a male child, but they've known that that's not where they fit. And this isn't a new phenomenon. This is with us from the dawn of time, you know, that and they have lived as a woman for all of those years. And then as a result of this, they're saying, what's my life going to be like? And if you can put yourself in their shoes for a moment, so their life has been turned upside down. So we've got to have some compassion towards people in those circumstances. But there's been, you know, I don't think that our concerns around criminality and violence are all about a transgender person attacking a woman in a toilet. I don't think that's where it's at, and there's been an obsession around that issue. But the judgments and the guidance that's coming out is trying to bring some clarity to bear.
Yeah.
And as the minister said, I welcome that attempt to give some clarity to people. So because it does provide for the provision of if you've got facilities that are sealed, where, you know, people got a lock on a door, that's it.
Yeah.
It doesn't really matter. So again, but it's just one of those contentious issues at the moment that I think sometimes it tips over. You've seen it on social media.
Yes.
That battle that goes on there, and I just hope that we can take the heat out of it, and that the Equality and Human Rights Commission can actually come up with guidelines that will give people the clarity that they need, but also give them the reassurance that they are not going to be prejudiced in any way.
Final question then from our students, and thank you again for your time so far, Andy. I'm not sure if you're going to have the answers to this one, as it's around maintenance loans, but I am just going off with what they've said.
Yeah.
So this one is, why do students, this is from Sam, why do students who receive the maintenance loan lose their universal credit when we have to pay the loan back anyway? So surely that means we are paying the loan back twice.
Well, that's an interesting construct. I just wind that back a bit because I came from a golden generation, and I thank two Prime Ministers, Harold Wilson and James Callaghan, because when I went to do my degree, I had my tuition fees paid, and I got a maintenance grant that I didn't have to pay back. It was a grant, but the world has moved on, and tuition fees were introduced for ill or good. I'm personally of the view that education is a gift from one generation to another, and to burden people with debt, it's been wrong for them, it's been wrong for society and wrong for our economy. I do regret that we made that change, but here it is, we've got it, we are stuck with it. I can't make it otherwise. I can't sit here and promise you that that's going to be reversed anytime soon. The Liberal Democrats tried that a few years ago, it didn't work very well for them. It isn't going to happen. But the premise is that when you go into higher education, your financial support is coming from maintenance loans and grants. That's it. There isn't an expectation that you'd have access to other sources of benefits. There are certain exceptions, and that's on a case-by-case basis. Yeah. But that's the overarching premise, that you rely on those sources of income and those alone, and you're not included in the benefit system except in those exceptional circumstances. That isn't going to change, I don't think, and it would be a falsehood to suggest otherwise. But yeah, I wish it were different.
Yes, you know, but like you said, we are in the system that we've got at this time.
And as I say, I don't think it's going to be change any time soon, especially when you've had an economy that struggled. It's not as if we inherited a war chest of treasures to enable us to be generous in every area of life. What happened when we became elected, you heard about the figures that are bandied around, but I can tell you from my experience of Parliament that we found every area of life broken in a way that I didn't expect. It's much more fundamental how things have been ground down. I do think things have begun to turn. I see a greater commitment to our public services and to our educational establishments, and I know there'll be lots of disagreements over many aspects of it, but I do think that the corner has been turned in many respects. Lots and lots still to do.
I was going to say a lot of work to do.
So, masses, and this is not going to be resolved anytime soon. I think this is going to be a 15-year program. That's how long somebody once said it took a long time to get into this mess. It's going to take a long time to get out of it too, but it is happening, and I remain positive and optimistic.
I think you need to, don't you? Like you mentioned about the renationalisation of railways and things like that. You know,
absolutely.
We talk about the fact that most of our big, what we used to have has all been sold elsewhere. So to start retaking them back, I think is crucial.
It's a big issue, and so many of our public services have been outsourced. And you know, when you think, well, actually, this is a public service. Why on earth should you have an organisation, be it IGS, Mighty, G4S, any ISS, any of those? Why are you making profit out of something that's allied to our education establishments or our health services or our local authorities? No, we don't want it to be made. We want that money back invested into the public service. The clue's in the title, public service. And you know, hopefully we can start to make some changes in that. I think the current financial framework is very, very hard for it to be achieved, but
Yeah.
it's got to be the objective.
Well, as long as it's, I think, maybe as long as they've got forward thinking and they're still trying to obtain those changes.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's when we give up, isn't it? I think that's when people give up and you don't have people like yourself fighting for change.
Yeah, absolutely, and we've got it. That's the sort of change that I want to see, and that's why I'm in conversation and often in argument with my own government to say, you know, we both got views about how to go further and faster. I've got a list of things I want to go further and faster on. So let's have that conversation.
Oh, that's good. Thank you very much for answering all the students' questions. Guys, have you got anything for Andy at the moment?
Yeah. As you mentioned, you are from Middlesbrough, and how can you offer your support to the people who are staying in Middlesbrough, like they're facing affordable housing for students?
Sure. Housing is an absolute top priority for my government, and they're committed to building 1.5 million properties in the first term of this Labour government. Hopefully we can continue thereafter up to the electorate on that one. But we're seeing signs of new builds, but we've got to increase upon that. We do have legislation going through that helps people who are renting, gives them better protections than they once had. We had something whereby a landlord could just give notice to a tenant for no justification, no real reason other than they wanted it, and the tenant would have no other option other than to leave. We need to think about how affordable those rents are, and there's a big debate around that. But ultimately, to solve the challenge of housing more broadly, my personal view is that we need to be building council houses, things that stay within the ownership of local authorities so people can have a home, somewhere to live. But at the moment, that's not happening. It's a complex picture, but we are struggling across the country in terms of providing affordable properties for people. But you know, again, there's that determination to build and to control the way in which properties are rented, which hopefully will bring to bear some benefit in relatively short order, I hope. I think by the time we get to the next general election, I think we might start to be feeling the benefits of those changes.
For me, very general question, like,
Yeah.
you are very busy, right? How can you handle your pressure, like complaint from the public and all those things? You know, how can you handle that pressure?
How can you I do want people to think of politics as a potential career, but I think we've got to acknowledge that, you know, there's been some terrible things happening, and you know, I've had 2 of my colleagues murdered, and that has had consequences for me, where people thought it, and we talked about social media, where those sorts of threats have been made. So it can become a pressure, but I think if you just I've got sort of various responses to that. I know how to conduct myself, hopefully by now. I know where to go. I know how to make sure that the authorities know where I am at any particular time. That's a major concern. You know, you've got to remember, it's an absolute privilege to be a member of Parliament. You know, to think that I've been elected now 5 times, to go to London to speak up for this place and speak up on issues that are important is an incredible privilege. So I think that vastly outweighs any sort of stresses and strains that might be on me from time to time.
I have one question. What's that one advice you would give to like baby Andy?
Baby Andy. All right. Okay. Yeah. Well. First of all, work harder when you got to higher education, because you didn't put much of a shift in there, boy. Yeah. So that would be the first one, and there'll be several and you know, you're never going to play for the borough, so just protect your knees.
Not at the moment.
And start golf a bit earlier. Yeah, so there's a few things, but yeah, I think seriously, just be true to yourself. True to you know, if you're brought up in an environment where there's people are trying to imbue good values, then stick to them, and they'll stand you in good stead.
Great. If I could just ask you one more thing as well then. And this is not really a question, it's obviously it's freshers coming up, we've got lots of new students. If you could say something to the new students that we have in coming to the university, whether it was about Middlesbrough or about them getting involved or the area, what would you say to, if you could speak to thousands of new students?
Yeah, well, number one, you're enormously welcome. We're delighted that you've chosen to come to Teesside University. So thank you for that. But you're now part of us and we're part of you. So do be a part of the community because it will enrich your life. You'll understand this remarkable place. The thing about Middlesbrough is you're stuck with it for life once you come here. It will never ever leave you, wherever you are in the world.
Oh, that's very true, that, isn't it? You don't get away from Middlesbrough, it never ever leaves you, does it?
No.
It becomes ingrained in you like a stick of rock.
Yeah.
Lovely. Guys, if you've got no further questions, Andy, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us, and hopefully I'll speak to you again very soon.
My pleasure. Many thanks for inviting me.